Hello everyone and welcome to the fourth and last episode of the season 1 of CAS in the Cockpit IFR Navigation. In this episode I will be flying the Cessna 172 Skyhawk, which is equipped with a G1000 glass cockpit. One of the main differences from the Cessna 152 is the presence of the PFD or primary flight display. This screen gives me all essential flight data in one place. The airspeed over here, I will show you. The airspeed over here, the altitude over here, the heading over here, the altitude, vertical speed, and more. For example, here we have the airspeed in knots, the vertical speed or climb rate here, the altimeter for the altitude in feet, and the heading in degrees, of course. Unlike the analog gauges in the Cessna 152, this digital display lets me fly IFR. That's why this episode is called IFR Navigation. Much more effectively, especially when there are no visual references outside. Throughout this flight, I'll be using the PFD to maintain heading, altitude, and follow ATC instructions accurately under instrument flight rules. So become acquainted with the rewarding world of instrument flight as we introduce you to climb and descending by reference to the cockpit gauges alone. So welcome to the part 1, climb and descent. We're gonna work in climbing, maintaining flight level, and descending only with the digital instruments of this Cessna 172 Skyhawk, a very new aircraft compared to the 152 without digital instruments. So we're gonna see how we work only with instruments when we have no visibility outside the aircraft. The training duration is about 5 minutes. Very welcome to the last episode of CAS in the Cockpit, Season 1.
We're flying over the UK's Shetland Islands, just below a thick layer of clouds. Up until now, you've been able to look outside to judge the aircraft's attitude and location. What happens when you lose that outside view? That takes us into the world of instrument flight. When you can't use the horizon for reference due to clouds, darkness, or other hindrances to visibility, you'll need to rely on your airplane's instruments. When flying on instruments alone, you'll need to rely on your attitude indicator to see your pitch and roll information. Modern cockpits like this combine several instruments into one electronic display called a primary flight display, or PFD. Stay on heading 270, set full power, and climb up to 4,500 feet.
So we're maintaining heading 270, and I am pulling on the yoke a little bit to climb to 4,500 feet. As you can see, we put full power on the throttle, very similar to the Cessna 152, with the difference that we have the analog gauges like the 152 over here. As you can see, the basic gauges, and here we have our PFD or primary flight display that shows us in the digital version more efficiently. So we are maintaining a 5-degree climb to the 4,500 feet. We can see that our airspeed is 100 knots, and we are climbing here. We are reaching 3,800 feet right now.
We're climbing up into the cloud layer. Notice how you're starting to lose your outside view.
As you can see, we have no visibility outside, and I am gonna turn to the right a little bit. I'm gonna maintain the heading. I'm gonna maintain the heading 270 over there, and I'm climbing right now 400 feet more, and as you can see, we have no visibility outside the aircraft because of the clouds. So we don't have visibility outside. We have to rely on the instruments, in this case the PFD, that shows us the most essential information of the aircraft. That's the altitude, vertical speed, heading and speed. Turn to the right again, maintaining
Using the vertical speed indicator and the
the
altimeter,
270 heading.
level off at 4,500 feet while continuing to maintain a heading of 270.
Alright,
Now fly straight and level at 4,500 feet, getting used to not having an outside horizon for reference.
so we maintain 4,500 feet, heading 270. The speed is increasing. I'm gonna reduce a little bit the power, and as you can see, zero visibility outside because of the clouds. So we have to rely on the instruments. That's why the primary flight display is very important in these cases.
Okay, now keep us on this heading and take us down to 4,000 feet. Reduce power so that we can descend without gaining speed.
Reduce the power and start descending. As you can see, we have here, this is the sky and the ground, in this case the ocean. I'm reducing power to idle, and I am descending with 5-degree rate. In this case we have 1,300 of vertical speed.
Great. Increase power again for cruise and keep us at 4,000 feet.
Alright, we already descended to 4,000. Back to idle position. We are flying straight ahead with the cruise power maintaining 4,000 feet if possible. The most exactly flight level as possible. There we are.
Wow, great job. That's how things look and feel making altitude changes on instruments alone. You'll find it gets easier with experience. Next, we'll introduce terms.
Hello everyone, and welcome again to the part 2 of the episode 4 and last one of the season 1 of CAS in the Cockpit. The part 2 is called Turning. The training is about to learn to change direction while starved of external references. We're gonna use the advancements made with glass cockpit instrumentation. As I told you, we are flying for this episode the Cessna 172 Skyhawk, and this aircraft is more modern than the Cessna 152, the aircraft we used for the other lessons and in the other episodes. So the 172 Skyhawk, this aircraft features more advanced systems, more modern systems and updated avionics, including the G1000 glass cockpit. This makes it better suited for IFR training, as we are doing right now, IFR navigation, with instrumentation and help of the primary flight display, this one here, and it's better for more complex navigation. It's also larger, more powerful, and overall a step up in terms of technology and capability. So we are gonna learn how to change direction, the turns, with the 172 Skyhawk, and I'm gonna show you what are the differences in the PFD or primary flight display compared to the analog gauges of the 152. Both are Cessna aircrafts, remember. We're gonna do a training of 5 minutes and learn about the turns. Here is the heading indicator with the 360 degrees here. The horizontal situation indicator is over here. Here's the current heading we're following, and here's the heading that is set on the aircraft. So here is the heading that the aircraft is currently flying, heading to. And here we have the roll pointer over here, and this is the bank index. If you remember, in the other lessons I taught you about how to turn in the Cessna 152 with the analog gauges, and I told you that we do our turns with a maximum of 30 degrees. So the bank index helps us to know about our turn. 10 degrees, for example, 20 degrees and 30 degrees. The same for the right, 10, 20 and 30 degrees, for example. So we know how strong are we turning, to the left or to the right. So that's the principle of turning with digital instrumentation in the Cessna 172 Skyhawk. Very welcome to the part 2. Enjoy the training.
Now that you've tried some climbs and descents, we'll introduce turning. Throughout this lesson, maintain your current altitude of 4,000 feet. Our heading is the direction our nose is pointing, measured in degrees. The main electronic display in front of you is the primary flight display, or PFD. At the bottom center of the PFD, we see the horizontal situation indicator, or the HSI. The HSI shows us the direction our nose is pointing, called our heading. Headings are measured in degrees, with east being 090, south 180, west 270, and north 360. Currently we're heading west. That's 270 degrees. When turning, we want to aim for a bank angle of around 20 degrees. Along the top of the attitude indicator are white lines. Each line represents 10 degrees. Normally we use about 20 degrees of bank, which is the second white line. But let's try it out. Make a turn to the left onto heading 180 using 20 degrees of bank.
So we're gonna turn to the left using 20 degrees. Here we have 10.
Keep turning until heading south, at which point smoothly pull
And
back to wings level.
20. 20 degrees, not sheer, maintaining 4,000. Turning to the left to 180 degrees to the south, with a maximum of 20 over here.
That's it.
There
Stop
we are.
turning there and you'll be heading due south, heading 180. Great. Now try and maintain this heading for a short while.
There we are. Heading to the south, 180 at 4,000.
Now make a turn to the right onto a heading of 350.
So we will turn to the right, 10 and 20 degrees, turning to heading 350, maintaining 4,000, 20 degrees, and level up till we reach 350 here. We are turning to the right. Everything with the yoke. Right, 320, 330, and 340.
Now smoothly roll wings level onto a heading of 350.
There we are.
Now maintain heading 350 for a bit.
We are heading 350, and we'll try to keep 4,000 feet. There we are.
Wow, great job. So that's how we make turns using just the instruments. Next, we'll look at how to handle speed.
Very welcome to the part 3 of IFR Navigation, the last episode of the season 1 of CAS in the Cockpit. The third part is speed control. We're gonna control our airspeed. Here in the frame, in the 3, 2, 1. Here in the primary flight display, In the PFD we have the airspeed indicator over here and the true airspeed here. That's around 110 knots, and we're heading 350 here. Like in the last lesson we ended in heading 350 at 4,000 feet with the Cessna 172 Skyhawk. Speed control during instrument flight requires a delicate hand and good coordination to adapt the change in lift whilst maintaining our altitude. So we're gonna control the speed and trying to maintain 4,000 and look for the effects of speed reduction or speed addition. Very welcome to the training. Training duration is about 5 minutes.
We're cruising at 100 knots, maintaining our heading and altitude. Let's look at how we deal with speed changes when flying on instruments. When slowing down, the wings produce less lift. To counter this, you'll need to progressively raise the nose in order to maintain altitude. Give it a try. Reduce power and bring the speed back to 70 knots.
So we're reducing power with the throttle over here, as you know, and trying to keep 70 knots while maintaining the 4,000 feet. There we are, reducing. The speed is decreasing, as you can see over here. Speed is decreasing. 80 knots. Now I'm gonna to set the power already. We are at 75 knots. Climb to 4,000 and we are at 70 knots at this moment. There we are. So we reach 70 knots.
Remember to adjust the elevator trim so that you don't have to keep putting any pressure on the controls.
I'll put the trim elevator here. Keep reducing power.
Good. Now set power to maintain 70 knots. Try to maintain 4,000 feet altitude. You need to be able to control altitude while adjusting speed. Notice how the nose needs to be a little higher than before to make up for the loss of airspeed. Use the elevator trim to adjust pitch to the new speed and maintain 70 knots for a bit.
We maintain the 70 knots while climbing.
Keep us steady on heading 350. You wandered off the heading. Great, now increase power to get your speed back up to 100 knots.
Maximum of power. Again to the 100 knots. You look that we have
As we speed up,
less power,
notice how
so we
you
have
can
to
trim nose down
have
to
the
avoid
5-degree up so we don't get a stall or start descending a lot. We're reaching 4,000 again and the speed is increasing because the power is in the max position. So we reach 100 knots and then we reduce a little bit only the power.
That's it. Now stabilize at 100 knots.
There we are.
Good. Now we'll take flap settings into account. Flaps give a boost in lift, which you'll need to control in order to maintain our altitude. They also add drag, making us slow down more quickly, so be careful not to get too slow. Reduce power and slow us down to 60 knots.
So back to idle again, reducing speed to 60
Now
knots.
extend the flaps to 10 degrees.
Flaps to
Now set
10.
flaps at 20 degrees. With the extra drag, start adding power so you don't drop below your target airspeed of 60 knots. Now stabilize at 60 knots and trim for level flight. Wow, great job.
I am using the trim.
Next, we'll look at navigating on instruments alone.
Hello everyone and very welcome to the fourth part of the last episode of CAS in the Cockpit Season 1 IFR Navigation. This time with the VOR basics. This thing is getting exciting. VOR basics. Grapple with the very high frequency omnidirectional range, the VOR. 5 minutes training, and this is the VOR basics we're gonna learn. We were with the Cessna 172 Skyhawk at 4,000 feet, a heading of 350. Right now we'll be at heading 240 at the speed around 100 knots, 110 knots. And here in our heading indicator we have the VOR one in this case. Here's the navigation needle, the navi needle, the horizontal situation indicator or HSI, and the course deviation indicator. For example, as you can see here with a light blue color, the aircraft is heading to 240. As you can see here, heading with a light blue color is 240. It's the currently direction we are flying to, heading 240, 241. Now, the VOR with a green color, a light green color. Now, the VOR with a light green color shows us heading 170. You can see that the navi needle is guiding us to. Here we have 150 degrees, 15. Here's 155, 160, 165, and 170. As we can see here, 170 is this one over here. So the green arrow is guiding us to turn to the left, to the heading 170. Now, we are flying 240. That means we are getting deviated. We are flying to the right, and here this is the course deviator. You can see that the green line is deviated from the center green line here. That indicates that we have to turn immediately to the left and then center the VOR line for the IFR navigation. Very welcome to this tutorial. Enjoy the flight.
Now that you have the basics of flying the aircraft on instruments, let's look at navigation. There is a worldwide network of radio beacons that pilots use to find their way when flying IFR. The most common beacon is the VOR. I've tuned the Sunberg VOR into your nav radio, which we're going to fly toward. To get there, we'll use the course deviation indicator, CDI. That's the green arrow and bar on the HSI. I've set the CDI for a course of 170. That means we want to arrive at the VOR on a heading of 170. The CDI shows us if we are on our selected course. If the bar is to the left of center, we need to fly to the left to recapture our course. The bar is currently over to the right, so keep flying on this heading and wait for the CDI bar to start moving towards the middle.
Alright. We are flying heading 240 to this green bar over here, as I told you, and the green arrow, the CRS heading is 170. So we'll wait until the green bars, until this green bar comes to us. So we will wait until the green bar comes to us and do a left turn to heading 170 and join the VOR. So we're waiting for the CDI to move to us, flying heading 240, trying to maintain the 4,000 feet. There it is, we are turning to 170 with a 20-degree notch here, turning to 170. It's coming here, as you can see.
Great. Now keep the CDI bar centered, and it'll take us
there
to the
we
VFR.
are. Heading 170. We keep the CDI centered. You can see that the green line is already lined up with the green arrow, VOR 1. So we are flying directly to the VOR. We'll wait until we reach it. I'm a little bit to the 4,000. We're descending a little bit. Have to be at 4,000 feet. And maintaining the CDI center until we reach the VOR. There we are.
We're getting close to the VOR now. The CDI indications might become erratic or disappear when reaching a VOR, but this is normal. Keep flying straight ahead on heading 170 for a couple miles.
So we'll fly 170. The green bar disappeared. We will leave VOR here. There we are. Comes again.
Wow, great job. Now we'll turn our attention to a different type of radar.
Very welcome to the part 5 of the last episode of the season 1 of CAS in the Cockpit, NDB Basics. The training is about to get to grips with the classical method of radio navigation by following a simple needle driven by the automatic direction finder, the ADF. Here we have again the horizontal situation indicator, HSI, in the heading section of the PFD or primary flight display, and then we have the bearing needle, this blue, light blue arrow over here. Very welcome to the training. We are flying with the Cessna 172 Skyhawk over the Shetland Islands in the UK, going to the Hamburg airport for this training of IFR navigation. Very welcome to the part 5.
Focus on non-directional beacons, or NDB. The NDB is tuned on the automatic direction finding ADF radio and is shown as a blue needle on the HSI. As Hamburg NDB is tuned, the needle is pointing straight towards it, which is to our right. Maintain 4,000 feet and heading 180, and watch what the needle does.
We're maintaining heading 180 here, 4,000 feet. VOR 1, and here's the needle. The ADF is the light blue one. As you can see, it's turning to the right side, approximately heading 240. We'll keep heading 180 while maintaining 4,000 feet here. As you can
Notice
see,
how the needle always points directly towards the NDB. As we continue to fly south, the needle moves farther toward the bottom of the HSI. The needle will move whenever we are not traveling directly to or from the NDB.
So the blue arrow continue turning to the right.
Towards the NDB needle.
We are turning to the right at this moment, 10, 20 degrees to the light blue needle to see what happens. You can heading to 30, heading to 40, and heading to 60. There we are.
Good. Now follow the blue NDB needle all the way to the beacon.
We are following the light blue arrow here, needle for the ADF, following heading 270, flying to the west, and then we will reach the NDB.
Try to maintain 4,000 feet altitude.
While maintaining
You didn't hold your
4,000.
altitude accurately enough.
There we are. We continue maintaining 100 knots, 4,000 feet, heading 270, following the light blue needle, and then reach the NDB.
We're getting close. An NDB needle becomes more sensitive as we get nearer, but resist the urge to make any large corrections.
As you can see, the NDB is turning to the right side, so we'll follow it. There we are.
Now see how the needle spins around and points behind us. Wow, great job. We've now taken a look at basic IFR navigation. So next...
Very welcome to the part 6, my favorite part of the IFR navigation lesson in this episode, number 4 of the season 1 of CAS in the Cockpit. We're getting close to the final of the episode. Very welcome to the part 6, the ILS approach. My favorite lesson, being honest with you guys, I'm gonna teach you how we land this aircraft using the digital and motor instruments, like the instrument that the Cessna 172 Skyhawk has. Here we have our primary flight display, and in this training get us back down to earth and experience the most common type of instrument landing aid in use today, the ILS. The ILS is the instrument landing system. It's a system designed to landing of the aircrafts. Here I will show you a little bit what we will see in our PFD, primary flight display of the aircraft, while arriving in an airport. If you look carefully here, we can see the runway. This gray line over here is the runway we are going, where we are landing in. Here is our notch for the turns, our heading indicator, altitude, airspeed indicator, and here are the two most important things for the ILS approach, the instrument landing system approach. We have the glide slope. This is the vertical one. We can see here, like I will say, a light green diamond here. The glide slope is this one. This one here shows us if we are too high or too low. Do you remember when we landed with the Cessna 152? We did it only looking for the puppy lights, the two white lights and the two red lights. But what if we have no visibility, if we cannot see the runway? We need the glide slope here so we can land safely, and the glide slope will guide us safely to the runway while descending. And here's the localizer. The localizer is for the left and to the right. Left and right Like the VOR, we have a green arrow here in the heading panel. We have log 1, localizer 1, and the green arrow here, this part of the arrow that isn't connected with the another two parts of the arrow of the green arrow here, will show us if we are to the right or to the left from the runway, from the final approach. So if this arrow is like in this point here or this, that means we are a lot to the right, here a little bit to the right, and here a little bit to the left and a lot to the left. So the idea is to keep the center line and here the center of the glide slope for a safely final approach to the runway. Very welcome. The training duration is about 6 minutes. I will show you how do we land with no visibility, and how does the ILS work, the instrument landing system. Very welcome to the training.
Directional radio signals, one for lateral guidance called a localizer, and the other for vertical guidance called the glide slope. The localizer provides lateral guidance, which directs you onto the runway center line. The glide slope provides the intended descent angle onto the runway. The localizer is displayed with a CDI, much like in the VFR lesson. Keep flying on a heading of 210 and 1,500 feet, and we'll watch for the localizer to come alive.
So
the localizer is moving now. Make
it's
a
coming
gentle
here.
turn to the right, intercepting the localizer and keeping the CDI in the middle.
We're gonna turn to the right 20 degrees and intercept the localizer. Is reaching the center line.
Good.
There
Now
we
keep
are.
the localizer bar centered and maintain 1,500 feet. The glide slope is displayed next to the altimeter on your PFD. If the green glide slope diamond is above center, you are below the glide path. We always start out below the glide slope as we want to intercept the localizer first.
So
We'll wait
we
for the glide slope to start moving.
already did the lateral guidance, the localizer. We are centered with the localizer lateral guidance. So now we are waiting for the vertical guidance until the glide slope reaches the center line. There it is, it's coming. So lateral guidance is ready. We're waiting for the
Here comes
vertical
glide
one.
slope. Maintain 1,500 feet until it almost reaches the center.
Yeah, we're waiting until the green diamond here of the glide slope reaches the center line to start descending to the runway. There it is.
Here it comes. Now reduce power a little and start to descend, using the VSI to aim for 500 feet per minute.
We reduce the power a little bit with the throttle, and then we wait. Right now it's lined up, it's in the center line, so we keep it in the center while descending to the runway.
Keep both the localizer and glide slope indications centered all the way down to the ground. Reduce speed and set flaps as needed as you make your way down the ILS.
As you remember, guys, for the vertical guidance we used the puppy lights here, looking for 2 whites and 2 reds. But now when we have low visibility or no visibility, we have to use the instruments. Here in this case the glide slope is centered with our approach, so we are descending well, and we can see also 2 reds. If you look carefully here, over there near to the runway, we see 2 reds and 2 whites. That means we are descending good. Then the localizer is a little bit to the right, so we have to turn a little bit to the right. There we are, heading 265, maintaining the glide slope in the center. And then we will change before landing to a visual approach, because we have visibility here in the vicinity of the airport, so we don't need the instruments for the final seconds of the arrival. We are maintaining here the green diamond here.
This approach has an offset, meaning that the localizer and runway aren't lined up together exactly. Focus on following the ILS for now. We'll transition to a visual landing once we're closer to touchdown. Make only small corrections and remember that each will be more critical as we approach touchdown.
So we are center already, you can see here, perfectly centered the glide slope. 2 red lights, 2 white lights. We are descending well to the runway and we are centered. The localizer is not exactly in this approach, said the flight instructor, so we will change to a visual approach now. There we are. 75 knots. We'll reduce a little bit the speed, reducing the power already. And that's how we land safely.
Great. Now is a good time to transition from flying on instruments to using...
No more power needed. We start to flare the aircraft. Touchdown. And we apply the brakes. Hello everyone and very welcome to the last part of the last episode of the first season of CAS in the Cockpit. Right now we are with the last part, the IFR test. We will call upon everything we've learned and master this IFR flying challenge. We have an IFR test as the last part of the last episode. I am going to show you all we have learned about IFR navigation with instrumentation and digital instruments. I already showed you how we land safely in the last part in the ILS approach. Right now this IFR test will be a challenge while showing you everything we've learned in this episode. We have a training duration of 12 minutes. Very welcome to the IFR test.
Some handling tasks to test your IFR flying skills. Follow the GPS as shown in magenta on your CDI, maintaining 5,000 feet and 110 knots. Okay, still maintaining the GPS course. Take us down to 3,500 feet, keeping 110 knots airspeed.
We will descend maintaining 110 knots, reducing the throttle power. There we are. We start descending to 3,500 feet. There we are. Very slowly. We have to be at 1,000 feet below. I'm reducing more power to increase the descent rate and descend faster to the 3,500 feet. We're 110 knots of airspeed. We are already reaching 4,000. We are close to the goal. We will pull back again on the yoke to level up and increase the power to maintain the 110 knots.
Next, keep us at 3,500 feet and make a left turn onto heading 060.
So we're gonna maintain 110 and do a 20-degree left turn to heading 060. we are.
Alright, let's throw some other things your way. Please bring the speed back to 70 knots.
We reduce the speed. No more power until we reach 70 knots. Heading 060, 3500 feet. There we are. 70 knots.
Alright, now keep us at 3,500 feet, 70 knots, and turn us to the right onto heading 225.
So turning to the right to the heading 225. As you can see, we have a very low airspeed, so we have to keep it in the 5 degrees for the same flight level. For maintaining the same flight
Keep
level.
us at 3,500 feet.
To climb a little bit.
You didn't hold your altitude accurately enough.
There we are, heading 225.
Okay, now get us back to 110 knots.
We put full of power to reach 110 knots. Complete heading 225. There we are. Alright. 3,500 feet. Heading 225, speed 110 knots. That's it.
Well done.
And that concludes our last episode of the first season of the program CAS in the Cockpit. I hope you liked it, guys. I hope you learned something about IFR navigation, how we pilots in the simulator fly with the instruments of the aircraft. And if you like what I am doing, please subscribe to the channel or like these videos. Be excited for the second season of the program. Captain Volvin signing off. See you on the next one.